Good evening, everyone. This is Chad Pettis, your favorite Unc from Unc Knows Best. And tonight, my co-host, a new co-host. Well, I started out by myself at first, but now I feel that a co-host would have a natural flow, and she is,
Angie Gordon, your favorite auntie.
of course. So we figured that Auntie and Uncle, we can definitely take questions throughout our podcast, not live, but pre-questions that we will be answering as we move on to different episodes. But I just kind of wanted to just kind of go over why we started the podcast to begin with. And as I mentioned, I'm Chad Pettis. I'm a licensed therapist with the state of California. However, on this podcast and in the social media world, I am a life coach, and I will be doing life coaching for you all on our Unc Knows Best podcast. So, what inspired me to start the podcast is as an African American male mental health professional, I get a lot of questions in terms of how many clients can you take? Can you take more? And because I have a day job that I work 40 hours a week, it's very difficult for me to do this in the evening times and even on the weekend. So right now, I have to give it 7 days a week, but that's my passion to help young people, middle age, older, anybody that needs the help. So that was my one of my motivations, and also to remove the stigma of mental health. I know many have a stigma of mental health, have the thought of mental health in terms of they think it's for extreme insanity. No, it's not. Anyone can use some mental health coaching. So that's why I'm combining mental health clinical thoughts and strategies with life coaching. So, and I will let your favorite auntie, I'll let her kind of go into what inspired her to join me on this podcast.
All right. Well, thank you for having me on the podcast. I
Absolutely.
appreciate that. My name is Angie Gordon, your favorite auntie. I am a certified life coach. I am also an educator, and I am a human services practitioner. And so, what inspired me was just the opportunity to talk about challenges that we may have, especially as women. I have a heart for women and young ladies. Hiding those emotional wounds and figuring out how to best deal with them so we can show up as the best version of ourselves. And like Chad said, just removing those stigmas that are present in the community around mental health and having really honest conversations so that we can just be better, so we can do better.
Absolutely. So I wanted to ask you just a few questions, and you, in fact, we're going to ask each other questions so you can get to know us better. So our first episode would just be kind of a get to know, and also just kind of explaining how we're going to take questions and for episodes in the future, because we're doing like a modern day Dear Abby, where on social media you can inbox us, and even I mean I don't think we're gonna do snail mail as they say, but we will do it all electronically through email and social media, taking questions on anxiety, depression, motivation, career, anything that may be troubling you. We will take questions, and also I wanted to mention this is not therapy. I am not operating as a licensed therapist at this time on this podcast. So I wanted to ask you, when it comes to mental wellness, how do you how do you describe mental wellness? What does it mean to be mentally well?
I believe it means to be accountable, self accountable, and self aware. And so when you start with that accountability within yourself about areas where you might be challenged, like if you're feeling anxiety, right? A lot of times people have anxiety, but they don't want to talk about it, or they think, well, I just got to push through. I just got to figure this out. I got to push through anyway. And instead of really sitting down and saying, you know what, I have anxiety. I need to go talk to someone. Or what's the triggers? What's making it show up? Um, and what can I do about that to get some clarity around it? So that accountability, that self awareness, and then seeking out the tools that are out there in the community, whether it's a village, whether it's a therapist, whether it's a life coach, journaling, whatever those coping skills are and resources are, reaching out, bringing those into your world, so then that way you can become the best version of yourself in those different spaces.
Absolutely. And I know in previous conversations we spoke about the imposter syndrome. Can you speak a little bit about imposter syndrome?
So, imposter syndrome for me shows up as a comparison, right? So I'm comparing myself to, for example, I was in a new position and I was qualified for the position. I should totally be in that position, but I'm looking at my colleagues and I'm comparing myself to those people. And maybe there's an age difference. Maybe this person has a higher level degree than me and they're in the same position. And I start to question, should I be here? Maybe I don't do the job the same way. Maybe my colleague is more extroverted and I'm more introverted. And I think, oh, I really should be more extroverted if I'm going to do this role, right? So there's always comparison that's included in imposter syndrome that's present. And that's what it looks like. And yeah, it's just one of those things where I feel like you have to, again, be aware, right? Be very aware of how it's showing up so that you can kind of nip it in the bud.
Got you. I can dig that because I started working in group homes in 1996. And I remember, in fact, I went back to school after getting a group home job. And I remember not having too many people that looked like me or were from where I'm from in terms of culture and how I thought. So when I was in school, I would often think like, man, there's no one here that looked like me. But the interesting thing is you mentioned the imposter syndrome. So once you overcame that, what are some talents and abilities that you feel now helps you to work with young women who were once you? If that, where you were once, you were them. I guess you know what I mean.
Right. There's two things. One, I don't know that you always overcome imposter syndrome, right? I think that it's a journey. I think that you just become in tune
Right.
with different things, right? And so if imposter syndrome is the thing, then you just become aware of it and you can tackle it faster to kind of remove the residue of it from your life, and it's where it's not causing you to make like emotionally charged decisions, right?
Got you.
In those spaces. So that's one part. I just want to free people from thinking like it's a one and done,
Right.
right? Well, I did everything. I went to therapy, imposter syndrome, done. I read the book, right? And
Right.
now it's done. I think that sometimes it can show up in new spaces because even when you get to a place of in this particular role or in this particular setting, now you're comfortable. Well, you might transition into another setting or another role where now you have that
Got you.
show up again.
Got you.
But to the young ladies that are still on the early part of the journey, I would say it's a journey, and to give yourself grace as you're becoming aware of who you are and some of the things that might show up that feel challenging,
Right.
and be okay with reaching out to people. You don't have to do it by yourself. You're not alone in how you're feeling. And so, if you can find community and people that you can trust, that you can kind of confide in, that can support you, empower you, whether that's your faith community, whether that is a close group of friends or colleagues, those are spaces where you can start to tackle those things and really grow.
I see. Yeah, and I can understand when you were saying that it's not a one and done thing. I'm a big believer in we don't achieve our goals, we grow into them. So, but then once you grow into that goal, then something else
Yep.
comes up. That old saying, if it ain't one thing, it's another. So, if we can mentally prepare ourselves to continue to grow, then we never really completely like reach the finish line. However, we look forward to the next race. So,
Right. It's just a better version, right? We keep
better version.
evolving and becoming a better version of ourselves.
And that's what this podcast would cover a lot of. We're going to look at a lot of goal setting and what it means to fail, but also what it means to what is failure and what is your relationship with failure. I know for me personally, I had to shift my mind in looking at failure. I went from seeing failure and having a fear of failure, but also from shifting that to looking at failure as being a companion in terms of it's not failure, it's feedback. So if I shift my mind and think it's failure and I'm not, then maybe I won't try something again. But if it's just feedback on how to grow and get better, then you can gain confidence in the next big task that you have to tackle.
So when you're talking about that shift that you had, right? So there was a point where there was fear and that was something that you had to get over. Can you talk about like your journey there? Did you do life coaching in order to help you get to a space where you were able to overcome fear?
Well, not really. Or did I was I the client in the life coaching?
Yeah.
No, it was never. It was I wasn't fortunate to know what life coaching was. Way back then, therapy was seen as like, it was a stigma was even worse than it is now. So for me, I know with some of the traumatic experiences that I've had, I kind of learned through the process. I like to say through the process of hunting. So in other words, like I learned what worked, what didn't work, and how to use that pain that I had for fuel to push me forward. My father was probably the biggest person in my life, and when he passed away, I think that kind of I actually looked at it as I was devastated. It was painful, but I took that fuel and that I took that pain and I turned it into fuel, and that's what I encourage young people to do. We all go through pain, and I think that we all go through trauma. So if you can do that, if you can learn the art of that,
Yeah.
you will never run out of fuel because life is pain and life is traumatic. So
Yeah, beautiful things come out of pain. Doesn't feel like it when you're in it.
no, absolutely not, absolutely
Doesn't
not,
feel like it, but yeah.
absolutely not.
So I want to talk about life coaching, and because it's a new concept, right? We've talked about mental health, and everybody knows about therapy and counseling, but I feel like life coaching is something that is new. It's almost like a buzz term right
Absolutely.
now, right, in the mental health space. But you are a clinician. I know you're not wearing a clinician hat today, but you're also a life coach, and I'd like to hear from you how life coaching helps in comparison to therapy.
So, excellent question. I'm a big believer in both life coaching and therapy and mental health services. However, mental health is, I would say, it's more, if you want to put it in terms of medication, mental health would be an antibiotics or some kind of maintenance medication that you can take that you're going to take over time. It's not going to happen right now with mental health. You're not going to walk away feeling a lot better oftentimes. Life coaching to me would be like a Tylenol. Like you take it and your headache probably subsides it's quicker. However, with life coaching, I think the pain wouldn't be as dramatic or traumatic as mental health. Does that make sense? For example, if you take Dayquil for a cold, it can help you feel better right now. That's life coaching. So a cold is not that bad. But if you have a virus and you need an antibiotic, the antibiotic is like a 5-day thing.
Okay.
You see what I mean? So the virus is more severe, right? You're gonna feel worse. It may linger longer, but you need something that's going to be a little stronger. So yeah, so many enjoy life or they prefer life coaching because again, it's the stigma of saying I have a therapist as opposed to saying I have a life coach.
Yeah.
And I think with life coaching, the one thing that I enjoy, it is more quicker pace. It's a little faster. And I think the client really walks away feeling like they have something that they can hold on to right now. Therapy is going to get worse before it gets better. It's like full blown surgery, right? If you have if you have surgery on your Achilles or something like that, that takes a longer time to heal. But life coaching is different. It's a little bit like I said. It's in the moment. It's right here, right now, and we're addressing more things right here, right now.
Right.
And I think what gives, not to brag, but what gives me an advantage as clinician doing life coaching is I bring cognitive behavioral therapy in terms of helping you to see how your thoughts affect your feelings and how that affects your behavior. So everything starts with your thoughts. If you can change your mindset, like I mentioned fear earlier or failure, I mentioned how you shift the mindset of I didn't fail. This is feedback. I can do better next time with some adjustments. So I know for me working with young people, because I know it's a very right now type of
Yeah,
people
that
want
instant
instant
gratification.
gratification. So life coaching tends to go over better with the younger generation because they want something right here, right now. So
Right. Well, life coaching has the idea of I just need to accomplish a goal. And so this is my accountability partner to help me accomplish that goal.
absolutely,
Versus I'm suffering from depression right now and I had this, terrible thing happen to me, this traumatic thing happen to me that I need to work through. So that stigma, like you were talking about.
right.
Yeah.
So I like the quote: "Coaching doesn't fix you; it reminds you you were never broken." So I like that. And as I mentioned before, we're going to go through a lot of different subjects on the matter of life coaching, mental health. I know stress management. I want to ask you, do you ever get stressed? I know that's a silly question. I ask silly questions on purpose to get a response.
I'll be 1,000% transparent. I'm actually in a stress season right now in my life. And even with all of the professional background that I have, it has been so challenging to manage that stress, even though I have the tools, right? I'm in a space in my life where I don't need to go searching for the tools. I have them, I know where to get them. But that just because you have the tools, it doesn't mean that the stress won't come. And so, yes, I have been stressed, but I will say in this season of stress, I do feel the most equipped than I've ever felt and prepared to be able to manage it.
Got you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know work-life balance is big. Self-care, knowing having self-care strategies. I'm a big believer if our self-care strategy should not be always be like a vacation or getting your nails done, or it needs to be something you can do every single day, whether that's meditate, stretch, workout, whatever the case may be. So self-worth and boundaries is another episode that we'll have. So when it, I want to tackle the word boundaries. When you think of boundaries, what comes to mind?
Expectations.
Expectations. Okay.
Yeah. Setting clear expectations with others and yourself.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
What do you think of with boundaries?
I know for me, when I think of boundaries, I also think of, well, expectations, and to go a little deeper. I often see when people have a issue with one another. So that kind of goes on to what you're saying with expectations. It's typically because there's a misunderstanding on what was expected of each other. Oftentimes that happens with families in terms of parent to child, and because I work with young people, boundaries is typically something that's brought up in family therapy. So, like in other words, and I don't want to tell anyone how to parent their kids, but sometimes there's there's an issue with boundaries. Like parent, I'm the parent, you're the child, and how do I continue to have a loving relationship with you? My father I've heard him say several times, "I'm not your friend, I'm your father." That's an old school way of thinking.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. So in other words, when I got older, the way I took it was, I'm more than just your friend. I'm friendly towards you, but I'm not on the level of one of your friends. I'm your father. So I have more of a responsibility towards you than to just have fun with you. So,
And a level of respect, right?
Absolutely.
That needs to be present.
absolutely.
And accountability.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So procrastination. Do you ever procrastinate
Yes, when I'm stressed.
when you're stressed? Oh, wow. And I'm the other way around. When I'm stressed, I never procrastinate. I got to get it done. I can't sleep unless I get it done. So we're different in that way.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I procrastinate until I'm done, right? And so, oh, I gotta get this done. I gotta get it done. I'm gonna do it tomorrow. I'm gonna work on it. And then it's like literally there's a block with the procrastination on the task I need to get done until there's not. And then when there's not, then it's like grind time. And then when grind time happens, I'm usually crying.
Gotcha.
I'm frustrated. I'm crying. No, I have to get this done. I don't have enough time. But procrastination, when I feel maybe stressed isn't the right word. I was saying I don't think maybe stress is the wrong word. The procrastination comes when I feel overwhelmed.
I see.
Yeah.
When you feel okay. And I know, and so for me, balance is such a key word because some people who do not procrastinate tend to have issues with anxiety. So some people are one way or the other. It's like I got to tackle everything right now, or I procrastinate. So I think if people can get right smack dab in the middle, that's my goal because I don't want to feel like I have to tackle everything right now today.
Yeah.
I need to take my time and think things through sometime, but others may have issues with procrastination. So overcoming fear. What's your biggest fear? Sound like we're in therapy, but
I do feel like I'm in therapy, Unc.
it's okay.
I'm just kidding. I'm totally
Well,
kidding.
hey, sometimes it's gonna hurt before it get better. I tell you.
Well, okay. Overcoming fear.
Or you can ask me and you can think about it. You want to do that? I mean, we're being natural right now,
Yeah.
fans, folks. So
This is you natural.
this is. I mean, I'm getting comfortable now. First, I was, okay.
He said he's natural right now. Okay.
Um,
So fear. How do I overcome
no,
fear?
what's your biggest fear? I
Or
think
what's my biggest
that's what
fear?
stumped you, because I think people hesitate to talk about their biggest fear because either people feel like they're gonna be judged. Um, I know now I'm gonna get, maybe this is deeper than what some people might. I think when people think your biggest fear, people think of heights
Yeah.
or snakes
Yeah.
or something of that nature.
I have to, that's next episode, to give you an honest answer about my biggest fear. Because it's not about a thing, it's about a concern of a possible reality. So, you know, yeah, of a possible outcome. I think that a day to day fear that I have, that I know that I have to, I constantly am fighting with, wrestling with, is just not performing well. That is always a concern for me. And so, how it shows up is at work sometimes, and in my personal, as a mom. So, in both roles, as a leader and as a mother, I think sometimes I overcompensate, or overextend myself, over provide
Because your fear is
things.
that you're not gonna live up to we're gonna let others down.
I'm going to let others down, or I think there's even an element of not being good enough, right? Or being replaced. I know that's something sometimes at work where I'm like, I have to get this done, and I have to do it well, and it has to be in excellence. I say that all the time. I've kind of calmed down with that. And so I think sometimes, so it will show up like perfectionism.
Yeah,
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 because I'm afraid of
right. Cause
not doing well, or being replaced, or being called out for not doing well.
got you. Cause
Yeah.
I was concerned about you showing up to do this podcast the last 2 minutes because I didn't know if you was just gonna like just not, I mean, because she said she has a fear of no. Anyway,
What's that new reel where they say the young people and they just do the blank stare in the camera when somebody says something?
yeah. So I know exactly what you mean. Um, I think my biggest fear is letting others down and not for everything that every good person ever done for me, family, friends, my parents especially, for it all be in vain.
So how do you manage it?
My fear. It's just balancing the. I think again, I use the word balance a lot. I'm balancing my reality that I know that I'm good enough, and I know when I put my mind to it, I can figure it out one way or the other. I'm gonna keep at it, but also understand that I'm vulnerable. I can be hurt. I can feel pain. So, and also too for me, I think that I work in order to balance that out. If I always, I have a saying I like to tell the young people is that the separation happens in the preparation. So I feel like if you prepare enough, you're gonna separate yourself from others, no matter what you're doing.
But if you're working, does that really bring balance?
Yeah, I mean when I say balance, I'm talking about balancing my feelings. But yeah, you're right. I have to make sure I do self care and I do balance my life out in terms of that. Yeah, but I'm talking about my balancing my feelings of knowing that I'm good enough and that knowing if I'm not good enough now, no one will outwork me and I will get to a point where I'm satisfied. So it's more feelings when I say balance. But you're right. I do need to I make sure I balance work life. Yeah, so that's kind of my thought is that you might be smarter than me. You might come from a better neighborhood or area. You may have more money, but you're not gonna outwork me. And once I feel that way, then whatever happens, I let the chips fall where they may.
I think I want to get to the point of where those types of thoughts just don't even resonate in my mind, right? Because who has the gauge if someone's smarter than me and why does it matter?
Exactly.
Who has the gauge if they outwork me and why does it matter? Right? And what is outworking? And so those are the things that I just feel like those internal narratives, for me, that causes the anxiety
I see.
versus if I just show up and just, this is me, this is who I am, this is what I have to bring to the table, and literally stay in my lane,
Right.
right? Of my gifts, my talents, my expertise that God gave me. I don't have to have this other narrative of where it almost feels like I'm hyping myself up to justify my space in the room
Got you.
instead of just being who I am in the room.
And I think that way of thinking works for some, and that's cool. But I was just talking about how I overcome fear. So, because what you're saying is that, but then when you're thinking that way, how do you overcome fear? You know what I mean? Like when you just say, "I just show up and I'm me," and that's cool. But what if you are afraid? So when I was talking about work, I think I'm attacking fear. So no, I see what you're
I
saying.
get you. Okay, I
Yeah,
get you.
because fear is, I have to say, fear is probably my best friend. As crazy as that may sound, because without fear, I don't get up in the morning like I do.
Pushes you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it pushes me to. I have a fear that my father would look at my life right now and be disappointed. That's my biggest fear. Or that my son would ever look at me and be disappointed, or my big sisters, or my big brother, or my mom. So for me, that's what pushes me is fear. So fear is like fire. What are some things you can do with fire?
Warm up.
Warm up so you can cook your food, right? You can
I was
cook
like,
your food. You can warm up your.
it
warm
felt
your
like a
water.
trick question.
It was not a trick question. I don't know what anything else you can do with
I can cook
warm
some
up. You can
food.
cook some food, warm your
Yes.
house,
Yeah.
right? It does a lot. I mean, fire was big within man, right? So, but fire is one of the most destructive things you
Yeah.
can think of. So either if you don't use it right, it will destroy you.
I hear you saying you've learned how to have a healthy relationship with fear.
Absolutely, and
Yeah,
failure.
and failure.
And failure. And what's even more interesting is success. Because success can take you, but character cannot sustain you. So, and so it's just kind of interesting how fear and having that relationship with fear and failure, it could take you to a level where you can get too much, feel too much of yourself, and it bring you right back down all over again. So, to me,
That's
again,
that balance you were talking about.
that's the balance I'm talking
Yeah.
about. I mean, I got to look at it like, I'll help an old lady across the street, but then at the same time, I feel like I can do anything I put my mind to. So that balance of not being too high on myself, but never getting too down on myself.
I appreciate that. All right, Unc.
I hope so,
All
champ.
right.
I hope so. So I know we talked about a few of the upcoming episodes. Is there anything else as far as you might want to? Can we cut for a second? Okay. How long? How you doing this?
You got 30 minutes.
So how long has it been?
30 minutes.
30 minutes. Dang, already? Dang.
It
Okay.
was just a yapping.
That's you. I'm just trying to give the people what they want. Okay. Okay. So
How's it looking? How's it? Okay.
I think you guys sound great. You look
Okay.
great.
Really?
Conversation's good. Yeah.
are you sure she don't have to worry about that stigma or whatever? What does she call that? The imposter thing.
You can
She
do
she
it.
looked
Don't
like
worry
she
about it.
flow with it.
Don't worry
Yeah,
about
Okay.
yeah, yeah. You guys look good.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So
You're so humble.
are we recording?
Yep.
Okay. So thank you, Auntie. And I say that in all respect. I just I came up with the name Unc Knows Best. I had to embrace it. I guess because of my salt and pepper. Some young dudes calling me Unc, and I didn't know who they were talking to, so I thought they were crazy or something. I didn't know what was going on.
You've
But
embraced
then-
it.
Huh?
You've embraced it.
Not that, well, I got to give the people what they want. So if me calling me Unc help them to look at me a certain way that's going to help them, that's cool. So thank you for joining me tonight.
Thanks for having me.
And you'll be on the next episode, right?
Yes.
Okay, so are you sure? And there's no hesitation? I just want to make sure in case I'm sitting here talking to myself next time. No. But no, if you're enjoying the conversation, we will be on IG, TikTok, and email. Well, I'll send the email out. So anyway, so we'll get the
Like, subscribe, follow.
like, subscribe. Oh, okay. So it's like that. All right. So until next time, all out there, y'all be cool. Peace and hair grease. I mean, never mind. Have a good night.
I got